Hey guys, welcome to Movie Time with the Boys. This is episode 1. My name is Luke Frost. This is John Davis. We are painfully aware that we are one of a million different movie podcasts hosted by two generic white dudes. So we're just going to add to the collection here and hopefully provide something new for you. John, how's your week been?
Yeah, pretty eventful. So big news, Monday, I got engaged.
Congratulations.
Thank you kindly. Throughout the rest of the week, or even that night, it was a bit weird because we've just had a lot of animal deaths. So
animal deaths? What do you mean animal deaths?
So Monday night after engagement and stuff, we got out of the car and there was a teenage squirrel following me and Em, and that was a bit weird. And he was super friendly and overly friendly. He jumped on my shoe and started nibbling, so I gave him a little flick off. And then Em, who is a Disney princess and speaks to all the animals and such, she was like, "Oh, we gotta look after him, make sure he's fine, all this kind of stuff." I'm like, fucking cool. Yeah.
Did it occur to you that he could have had rabies?
Yeah, but obviously I didn't look after him, did I? So she made a box, fed him bird seed because she feeds all the birds and stuff out back, which is super nice of her, as she is a wonderful person, much better than I. Then they checked on him the next day. He was still hanging around because he was super friendly. And then the neighbours downstairs, they was like, "Oh, we could look after him," all this kind of stuff. They put him in the garage overnight. Went in the next morning and he was dead. So,
oh, mate. Was that the only animal death?
Nope. So same night, Seymour, my wonderful dog, was a bit quiet in the garden. Usually, he comes back for checks on us, but he was like, "Oh, he's been a bit quiet. Let's go see what he's doing." It was dark, shone a light on him, and he has a bird in his mouth that is still alive and bleeding. So I had to pick, Em got the bird off him. I had to wrestle him back into the house. And then she was like, "What am I going to do?" I was like, "Well, it's half dead. Just leave it in the yard. Something else is going to come and collect it. It's the journey of life, etc." I was like, "Yep, cool." Went into the yard the next morning. Loads of feathers and shit about. But no bird at the time. She's like, "Cool, happy days." Hour or two later, Em went into the garden. I was in work. And Seymour had this half-dead bird in his mouth again.
Oh my God, dude.
To which Em wrestled it off him. Bird's still alive. She picked it up and went to go and give it a bit of a hoof into another garden, let's be honest.
Just toss it over the fence.
Yeah, pretty much. And, it's no longer my fault. Seymour loved it, because he had feathers in his mouth and he did half a live bird.
And this was the final animal death of this week?
I mean, fingers crossed there's still tonight.
So you're going to think I'm making this up, but 2 days ago, we're sat in the living room and a bird flies directly into our window. And Steph brought it in, put it in a little box, gave it a little love, but its beak was like cracked down. So it was obviously in bad shape. 2 minutes later, we opened the box and it was dead. But isn't it weird that these things are all happening at the same time? And the movie that we're reviewing this week is Late Night with the Devil.
You're meddling with things you don't understand.
Whoa! Now, as you know, here on Night Owls, we think it's very important to keep an open mind. Please welcome Dr. June Ross Mitchell and Lily, the young subject of the book, Conversations with the Devil.
I really don't think it's a good idea, Jack. She's becoming more unpredictable.
That's a good thing. That's why we still do live TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for a live television first as we attempt to commune with the devil.
Everyone I've talked to so far has pretty much enjoyed this film, praising it for its originality.
Yeah.
We'll get into your opinion and my opinion in a little bit. The film features David Dastmalchian as Jack Delroy.
You pronounced his name because
I
was going to struggle on that one.
I did my prep for this. Laura Gordon as June, the psychotherapist. Ingrid Torelli as Lily, the possessed girl. It was actually her first ever movie, I found out.
She was great.
Which, yeah, she was. One of my favorite characters, Reese Artori, playing Gus, the co-host.
Cool.
I just loved his character. We'll get into that, and I'm not going to read off everyone else, but that's basically the
Who was
that's basically the cast.
who was the grip?
Actually, I do have that. That was wait. Did I put that?
Why
No,
would you write down the grip?
Christopher
No
Kirby.
offense to whoever the grip was, but
But I had him listed as showrunner. I didn't have him listed as grip. But you're right. I think he was the grip though. Okay, so from this point onwards in the pod, I'm going to say this is not going to be spoiler free. There are going to be spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, we suggest you stop listening now, go watch it, and then come back and hear our opinion on it. So John, did you like this movie?
okay. So I am in no way like a horror fan. I don't seek out horror. I barely watch horror at all. There are some horror films that I've seen and loved and will suggest, such as like It Follows and things like that. I don't tend to lean towards the gory type things. And this is one that I would lean towards. It's not your kind of gory, it's not traditional kind of horror. I mean, yes, it's possession and devil and so on and so on. But yes, I liked it.
You liked it?
I did. I
All
liked
right,
it.
that surprises me because when I got your message in the week, I was like, he didn't like this film, and this is going to be this is going to be kind of an awkward pod because I'm going to be trying to convince him how good it was.
Okay.
So based on that,
I hold my cards close.
yeah, based on that, I absolutely loved it. On the first watch through, I was kind of like, I'm not sure what I just watched. That was weird. But the more I thought about it the next few days, and the more people I talked to about it, the more videos I watched in it, I was like, this was really, really original, really, really good. And I haven't seen a movie like this in a long time. I think the last horror movie that I saw like this that kind of blew me away was Hereditary. And that was another one that kind of sat with me for a few days before I decided that I really liked it.
That's fair.
So I'm just going to give like a brief run through of the movie, what it's about, and then we can go on to like what we liked and what we didn't like about it. The movie starts with a narration about Jack Delroy, who's a late night movie host for a talk show in the US. It's Halloween. I think it's 1974, I want to say.
77.
1977. It is Sweeps Week, which, as far as I could tell, is like a week they decide what's working and what's not as far as ratings is concerned. And they decide, is that when they decide to cut movies on Sweeps Week?
Yeah, so Sweeps
shows?
Week is like and this is me pretty much guessing from what I think I know about it, so please never quote me on any of this. But I believe Sweeps Week is the most watched week of television like in history. Typically it's around this 1 week year, and this is when like all the advertisements, people pump the money into it, so obviously you want the higher rating, so you'll be willing to do anything to get the higher rating during that week.
Okay. So we learned from the intro that the show is in trouble. It's like losing ratings, and they need to do something to like get their ratings back for Sweeps Week. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. So story-wise, Jack Delroy is a late night presenter. He is like second in line. So there's other ones above him who are better. You know, like all the Fallons and like, for example, today's ones like Fallon, Conan, Colbert, etc.
Yeah.
So he would be like the lower level ones, not quite a James Corden.
No one's that low.
No, but he's not like A tier. He's B tier. He's willing to do anything to get those views.
So the first guest is Christou, who's a psychic, played by Faisal Bazi. So his role, he came out and he started trying to read audience members and trying to like give predictions, and he was obviously like a showman. They made it very obvious that it wasn't real, to me at least.
The first one, like, because he misses the beats all the time, and we all kind of know how they do this, where they just feed out certain letters and blah 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 blah. But then,
yeah,
he does get the two in the crowd, and everyone's like, "Oh, actually, maybe." And then you do kind of find out later they spoke to somebody in the hallway who kind of give him that information, so you find out that he is still a fraud.
Yes. So he was indeed a big fake. Anyway, end of his section, he starts to get very sick, and they cut for a commercial break. Then when they come back, this is one thing that I really loved, and I'm just going to throw in here. Did you notice when they came back after that break, the whole show stopped and you could hear the ambulance siren in the background? Do you remember this scene?
Yeah, I know what you're on about.
It just helped me feel very uneasy when that happened, because the whole audience, Jack, the host, was just listening to this siren. So later on, you find out in the next section, actually, that he died on the way to the hospital.
Yeah.
This is after puking up a bunch of black stuff or whatever that was on the set.
There's a little bit in between there, just where because they bring on the skeptic guy, don't they? Who kind
Carmichael.
Yeah, Carmichael, who says this is how fake it is, this is how you do it, etc., etc. And then it's at the end of that segment where Chris Duke kind of gets ill and violently throws up on the camera.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I had that bit a little backwards then. I guess I thought it was right away. So yeah, Carmichael is the next guest, and he's, as you said, a skeptic. I kind of originally really didn't like his character, and I warmed to him, but we'll get to that, I guess, eventually. During Carmichael's section, they have another guest come on, June, the psychotherapist, and she brings on Lily, who's a young 14-year-old girl. Definitely not believable as a 14-year-old girl. Just going to drop that in there. And then they tell her story about how Lily was an orphan of a satanic cult. At which point I was like, oh, this is getting a little bit far-fetched, but I'm still in. Turns out she was the sole survivor of a cult who all killed themselves in a big house fire. And June, I guess, had adopted her and had been working with her since that. So she's like her adopted daughter. So during June and Lily's visit, it's discussed that something's not quite right. And when they bring her out, that's very obvious, to me at least, where she was kind of asking Jack questions, saying it was nice to see him again. The eye contact was just throwing me off. Yeah. Eventually, as we blast through this synopsis, Carmichael the skeptic wants to see proof of possession. So June reluctantly agrees, and they get Lily into a chair in the middle of the studio with June, and they induce a possession. So after the Lily possession scene, Carmichael jumps back in as a skeptic, and John, you probably remember this better than I do, so if you want to take it away from here.
Yeah, so this is where Carmichael is being his skeptic self, trying to prove that it's all bullshit. So he brings up Jack's kind of co-host, brings up Gus, and shows them how it's done by hypnotizing him and everyone around him to believe that something horrible is happening to him, that worms are coming out of his stomach, this kind of thing, and everyone's freaking out. To which then he goes, I've hypnotized you all, roll VT. And it shows that everyone was just hypnotized, it didn't really happen. And we're like, oh, okay, so maybe that possession didn't happen. Maybe it was all bullshit. And then the possessed girl Lily is like, no, let's roll RVT and see if that was real. Yeah. And some more weird stuff happens. Did you want to go in depth a bit more with the ending, or did you want to leave that for later on? Or?
No, we could just say all hell breaks loose at the end, I guess, is a fair way to say it.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into what we thought of the ending at the end here. All right, John, so what did you like about this movie?
So I love the setting. Being in the late 70s, I think talk show wise, it looked great. I love the feel of it. That era, especially with the whole kind of satanic panic just on the tail end of it as well. The whole vibe of it was good. The whole talk show concept was great. It's slightly weird in places because it's mixed in with, like, it's supposed to be the episode then cut with, they were also documenting it at the time. So, like, on the breaks and stuff, you'd cut in. But it was good. It was obviously there to add more to the story and stuff. But yeah, overall, I thought it was great. The setting was fantastic. It looked great. And David
Dastmalchian
was fantastic as Jack. I think he was great for that role. Story-wise, yeah, it's a good kind of possession movie. As a horror, it's not scary. I didn't find it scary at all. I just thought it was a good kind of movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Some, like, spooky moments, but I think I really enjoyed it. It reminded me of, I don't know if you saw this as a kid, but BBC Ghostwatch, when it was like, when I was like 11 or something like that.
Yeah.
Just a brief rundown of that. It was a BBC documentary, in air quotes.
This was pre-Most Haunted, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Pre-Most Haunted, where, like, I remember being a kid watching it and it freaking me out. It was supposedly a live BBC documentary. It was released on Halloween, obviously, of where, like, they were doing, like, live footage of things going wrong in people's houses and poltergeists and all this kind of stuff. And obviously it was, more things went on, and like, the camera's getting you, you're supposed to believe that it's live and spooky. And as a 10 or 11-year-old kid, it freaked me out. But, but is that kind of weird kind of possession, poltergeisty kind of weirdness and live TV. It reminded me of that. But yeah, I definitely dig it. I would watch it again. I mean, no rush to watch it again, but I would watch it again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not really a rewatchable for me. I was only going to rewatch it for this podcast. But I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it again, no matter how much I enjoyed it. It made me pretty uncomfortable in places.
Just like the grossness of it, or?
Well, after that scene where he's got the spinning thing, and then you find out it was all fake, I was like, I actually felt like, it's going to sound stupid. I actually felt like, did I just get hypnotized in the movie by watching that for a second?
You know what, you're right. It did sound stupid.
Threw me into like a little bit of self-doubt, and I was like, I feel kind of uneasy watching this, but it was my favorite scene in the movie. Really. So for me, I already mentioned the ambulance shot. That's the thing I had at the top of my list. I really loved it. I don't know why. It just made me feel very uneasy. I like a film that makes me feel uneasy, which is why I rate Hereditary as one of the top horror movies I've ever seen, because it's just disgusting. The initial Lily intro, when she came out of that tunnel dancing with that weird look on her face, just freaked me out. I did not like that, but I thought it was amazing. Yeah. She played that part really well. I thought she was fantastic. Ingrid Torelli is her name again.
Yeah, and I remember when I was watching it and I was saying to Em that she freaks me the hell out because she would just stare dead down camera the whole time. Whenever she sit down, she'd just go...
Yeah. Yeah, it was super weird.
I hated it.
Yeah, and her voice kind of changed as well. I don't know if you noticed that. Her voice changed when she was talking to Jack. I read a few things that said it was his wife's voice. And that's why he kind of like stops and is like, what? Gus, I thought, was a fantastic character. He's just so believable as this silly little psychic. I don't know. I guess it's just like a personal thing. I just really liked his character. I loved I guess you would call it the practical effects, the stop motion of the hypnotist scene where the worms are coming out of him and it comes out of his eye, the big worm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm with you now.
So I guess it looked like stop motion, but I don't think it was. I think it was just practical effects on models. I thought the scene at the end with all the deaths, I thought it was very well done. I thought Gus's was the best death, the most believable. The 70s look, as you mentioned, was fantastic. Really set the scene. I also love these little shots they kept doing to the crowd, and there was just a guy dressed as a skeleton or a devil.
Yeah,
there.
They kept focusing on the skeleton guy, didn't they?
They just did these little things that made me feel very uneasy. And David Dastmalchian as well, his character was just incredible, so believable as this like trodden down, depressed TV host is like putting on a brave face to keep his show going. I remember him from Prisoners, actually, the movie Prisoners with Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal. And he plays this creepy little weird character in that, and he reminded me of that, but like a more sane version of him, I guess. So.
He's a fantastic actor. He's in so many like huge films, but he's never like the main guys. He's always got a bit part of like, because I know he does a lot of work with Denis Villeneuve, and from reading and hearing things about him because they're so good friends. And Denis, obviously in prisons and stuff, he's like, whenever he calls him up now, he's just he says, "I got a new interesting way to kill you."
Oh my god!
Yeah,
good fact. So, what didn't you like about the movie? What kind of ruined it for you in bits?
My main gripe, and it's not like a huge gripe, it's a little gripe, was like you said, the practical effects. Those bits were great, but there was other effects where they just looked cheap and bad. Yes. Like when Christou was violently thrown up and it went onto the camera, that just looked like 90s CGI and it just didn't fit.
You know what bugged me as well was the, I don't know why it bugged me, but it just took me out of the moment, was the electrical current when she was being possessed.
I didn't hate that. That one, I thought that was fine. I liked it because like when she was weirdly touching things and you'd get like all the weird TV vibe through them and such. I was fine with that. It was just little bits here and there. Like the main thing that pissed me off was Christou's vomit when it hit the screen. I was like, that just looks like a graphic from Art Attack or something they just threw at the top. That literally took me out of the moment for a second. I was like, oh, that's a bit cheesy. But then they did like the practical effects with the eye and stuff, and that was great, and that kind of brought me back around, but just wish they could do both.
Yeah, the practical effects reminded me of Brain Dead, which I think I watched with you for the first time ever when we were youngsters.
I would imagine so. I had it on VHS.
I didn't like Carmichael as a character. I thought he was... I'm not sure if it was a character. His character was necessary, I think it was the actor.
I think I see where you're coming from, but I think that's the whole persona that he perceives, isn't he? Because he's the showman and he's like the thespian magician arsehole type thing, which kind of led into it. I didn't like his character, not because he was overacting. I just don't like that kind of character.
Yeah, I think it's just that kind of person in general that rubs me the wrong way.
If you were going to a dinner party and that guy was there, I would solidly make an effort to not speak to that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay far away.
Yeah.
I think he was just too much for me. He was just a little over the top. Apparently, though, his role was cast to someone else. I couldn't find out who it was, but he came in like 5 days left of shooting and did that. So what's his name? The actor's name. He was Ian Bliss. So for that time frame, he did a good job, like portraying that character as an annoying, sneevely little dude. Things I didn't like. My gripe with Lily. She was great. She was really good, but that looked like a grown woman.
Yeah. How old is she? Do you know?
She was supposed to be 14, and at the time of filming, she was 18.
Oh, okay.
But I would have guessed like mid-20s, like watching her.
Yeah. I didn't think she was teenage.
Yeah.
I thought she was like early 20s or something. But yeah.
Also, the voice when she was possessed really took me out of it. It could have been done so much better. It's like the special effects could have been done so much better. But her voice was like her regular voice with just a dude's voice laid on top. That's all I was hearing.
I was fine with that. Just because...
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's the devil speaking through her, which means, you hear her voice and then presumably a deep dude's voice. I don't know what kind of voice you think of when there's a possession.
Well, I think of The Exorcist. I think that is like the film you would think of when thinking of a demon possession film. I think of The Exorcist. And the voice in that, when it was made as a 70s film, 80s film?
70s?
I think it's 70s. Is so well done, special effects and sound effects wise, that I was like, this felt just a little rushed to me. 73, okay. Wow, good movie for that time. It felt a little rushed to me, like the way they just felt a little cheap. That's my gripe. I'm gonna stick with it. That annoyed me.
No, you stick with it. You're entitled to your opinion even when it is wrong. It's fine.
So I think one thing that bugged me, and I'm not sure if this is going to be the same for you, was the narration at the start. I think, hear me out.
Okay.
I think it could have been done in a different way that didn't have him narrating his entire life up to that point. You know what it reminded me of? In Basketball, where the Unsolved Mysteries guy is like, where the fuck is so-and-so? It reminded me of that. And I'm not sure if it was the same guy doing his voice, but it seemed like a little overkill.
So if you actually look up who narrated it as well, it was
Ironside, right?
Yeah, Michael Ironside, who is a super famous actor. So I enjoyed that. I thought like the whole Unsolved Mysteries thing worked well with it because that's what kind of thing they would lean into. I just think that it wasn't used right. They led in with the documentary piece saying, here is some found footage, here is the episode. It was also a documentary doing it at the same time. And it was like 2-3 minutes, maybe longer, of like all the pretext beforehand to catch up with the story, which helps.
Yeah.
And it's super good, like build like, you know all the characters beforehand then because they drip them to you, which is great. But then there's nothing mentioned about the documentary thing again, like the kind of lead into it. So that was a bit weird for me.
So I thought how would I have done this differently had I been making this movie? I would have had probably news reports at the start, just telling his story, like what happened to him, like entertainment reports and stuff. Would have worked a lot better than this random character that we never hear from again, this narrator come in and do this. It just seemed like a little bit kind of like, I don't know, a little...
Yeah, I get what you mean. If it was cut with like news reports saying YZ has gone missing since this date, and then this footage was found on this date. They were filming documentary this date, quick title card, cut to episode.
Exactly. Yeah. It could have been approached differently, I think, in like in a better way. But
I think it could have been used better. It was utilized wrong.
So my one more gripe that I have a few, but the one more I'm gonna touch on is the ghost of his wife appearing. Okay. I thought it was so badly done. And I think they knew it was badly done because it was only on screen for like a second. And then they're like, okay, next shot. It just wasn't, it just kind of looked like bad Photoshop to me.
Yeah. because it was just her like in a white robe with the brightness turned up.
Yeah. It was like if you Googled ghost, that's what would have come up. And they just, it just looked bad. I don't know. I keep saying I would have, but I'm never going to get the chance to make a movie.
That's true.
I think it could have been approached differently and more scary. And apparently she appears at certain times during the movie, like behind him. But I didn't. I tried to look for a YouTube video on that and I couldn't find one, so I might make my own.
I caught it once, like when just before like the end and just before like the big flash up of her, there was a white hand on Jack's shoulder that I caught.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. After watching this, I did a bit of online research. I wanted to stay away from other people's opinions, mostly, but I wanted an idea of like what people were talking about in case I'd missed anything. So I found a few little trivia points, and I wanted to discuss those with you. First of all, did you happen to read about the AI usage in the film?
Yeah, they used like AI footage for the like technical difficulties or the be right back section, something like that, didn't they? Just like kind of like a stock image type thing. Which
what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, okay. It's dumb. Why just not create one or pay an artist to make an image?
It's avoidable, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like I understand there's time constraints, there's money constraints, but that's like I could have knocked that. I don't even use Photoshop, but I could have knocked that out in PowerPoint in half hour.
Yeah. So my thinking on it was an afterthought, and they didn't know how to transition between these scenes. They were just going to have literally technical difficulties or commercial break written on the screen or something. And I think this is my thought, and I'm not sure if this is true. I think they decided very late, after most of the production had been done, that they wanted to add this in. And they were like, what's the cheapest possible way we can do this? Because budget's gone. That's all I can think, is that they did it that way. Because it seemed, when I read about the AI thing, I assumed they'd done the end scene special effects with the AI or something. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird, like to do that. Instead of outsourcing a whole studio, use AI. That would have been kind of stepping over a line, I think. But I think to use it for one image, or 3 images, I think total it was.
Okay.
Just seems stupid. It didn't bother me. I'm not like, death to AI, because it's useful in certain areas, but it just seemed like an unnecessary thing to do.
Yeah. As I said, it's dumb. It could have been avoidable. If it was 3 images, I mean, I'm sure they had an art department, and I'm sure they would have done it in a very short time frame. If not, pay someone to do it.
But I heard people were boycotting the film over this. I think that's a little far.
That's probably dumber than using an AI.
Yeah, because it's one of the most original films I've seen in a long time as far as style is concerned. And if you're missing it and not watching it because of that, you're missing out. Pure and simple.
And you're dumb.
And you're dumb. Okay, what else did you come up with for trivia? What did you find?
Everyone's favorite director, because that's what he's known for directing Maximum Overdrive, Stephen King, famous director.
Yeah,
maybe if you heard of him.
Has he done anything else, Stephen King?
I think just that one movie.
Okay, cool.
Have you seen Maximum Overdrive?
I've never seen it, no.
Oh, it's terrible.
I didn't even know he directed a movie, to be honest with you, until you just said it.
Oh, it was in the 80s, and Stephen King loved cocaine.
Right.
So this movie is where a storm happens and all these trucks at a truck stop get possessed, and it's terrible.
Amazing. I feel like I need to watch it.
So Stephen King, famous director of Maximum Overdrive, got a screener early, and he quoted that it was a good movie, but results may vary, which is just great. Thanks, Stephen King.
Yeah. I liked it, but you might not.
Yeah.
I guess it's his thing. Which I think is fair. Like, it's pretty... I told a few people to watch it, and they came back... Half of them came back to me and like, why did you tell me to watch that? And the other half was like, it's amazing. So it's kind of splitting audiences, I think. Let's talk about Bohemian Grove.
Okay, cool. When did you join?
So in the movie, Bohemian Grove is a summer club for men, as they put it, I think. And it's where David Dastmalchian goes during the summers. John tells a little bit about his character.
So, did you do any more reading on the Grove at all?
I did, and I'm going to say this straight off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a video by a very popular right-wing conspiracy theorist, and I'm not going to name him on this pod. I just don't want to give him any airtime. But it was very interesting, his video, and what he saw when he went into the grounds, snuck into the grounds of Bohemian Grove and recorded.
Was it Rogan?
It wasn't Rogan. No.
Okay.
You'll see. I'll tell you after this. You'll see.
Okay, cool. So the Grove is a real thing where famous people and ex-presidents have gone to. It's just where they go for like orgies and to do LSD parties and stuff.
Yeah.
There's as with anything that's kind of secretive and hidden, and it's been going on for years. People presumed satanic things and rituals with it as well, which is what they fed into with this movie by David's character Jack going to it. And obviously kind of led into the whole satanic things because they meet in the woods and do weird things. And there's an owl. But I think I like that aspect of it, not only because it kind of feeds off a real life thing, which is already weird, that celebrities have to go to the woods to have an orgy and LSD party. And B, it kind of feeds into that whole, to be those kind of people, the celebrities, the presidential people, you have to sell your soul. You have to go into the woods and do satanic things and sell your soul to be a late night host, which is kind of the whole story of this, of Jack selling his soul and or his wife's soul to the devil.
Yeah. So I guess, listener, do your own research on Bohemian Grove. It is a real thing. It is weird, but don't get too sucked into the conspiracy theory side of it, I guess. Would be my opinion on it, but it's good reading. It's entertaining.
Which is rare for you because you love a conspiracy theory.
I do love a good conspiracy theory. Who do you think won the movie? Who is the best actor or actress?
David Dalmalchian. Sorry,
I love getting you to pronounce that.
He was great. Every moment throughout, he sold it to me. Every time he was on screen, I didn't zone out. I didn't lose. What's the term I'm looking for?
He was holding your attention the entire time.
Yeah, he held my attention the entire time. He was super believable as the host. He played it well. And yeah, he was very believable.
Yeah, I agree. I think he won the movie for me. It was so nice to see David Dastmalchian in a leading role for once. I'm sure he's been in other leading roles, but this one is the first one that I've seen. I thought he was just very believable as this depressed talk show host who'd lost his wife. Yeah, he definitely won it for me.
Yep, agreed.
Who was your least favorite character, and who would you have not cut from the film, but who would you have given less scenes to?
Carmichael was annoying. Gus was a bit part. Anyone could play Gus. He was just a pure caricature of a type person.
How dare you?
And anyone could have played him. Sorry, whoever you are. Sorry, Rhys O'Terry.
Rhys O'Terry, yeah. I thought he was fantastic, but that's split of opinion, I guess.
He was good at the job, but the character was just a caricature. There was nothing else to him, was it? There was no... Could you tell me anything else about Gus other than he's scared?
His voice was great. And that sounds weird to say, but his voice was just very co-host. I don't know. I couldn't really describe it, but I just warmed to him as a character, and I'm not sure why. I think for me, Carmichael could have just been edited a little as a character. I wouldn't have cut him from the movie. I think he was very necessary, obviously, but I would have just edited him down a little. Chill out, Ian Bliss. It's not that serious. Just take it easy a little bit. But again, it's his character, so maybe I'm just kind of blending the two together.
Yeah. He's an outspoken dude type annoying person, so he has to be annoying, and unfortunately you hate people that are annoying. Yeah.
I'm going to give you some recasting. So I'm going to tell you who I would have recast in these roles and tell me what you think.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
So, Christy, I would have cast Uri Geller in his role.
I mean, I'm feeling confident they kind of based him on Uri Geller at the time. But
yeah. But he would have been my choice.
I wouldn't cast Uri Geller now because I'm sure he's old and dead. Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, he's still going. He's still going.
How old is he?
Do you want to hazard a guess? Without looking.
6?
No way, he's not that old. 77.
I mean, that's still pretty old.
He's older than I thought. I thought he was late 60s. So yeah, it's pretty old. He would have been my recast as Christy. My recast for... You're probably not going to know who this is, but my recast for Lily would have been Millie Shapiro from Hereditary, the little girl in Hereditary. No, you don't know? Okay, listener, you might know. I would have... So just playing along with Carmichael, his kind of character, I would have cast Brian Blessed. Which I think would have been perfect.
So your issue with Carmichael was that he was too loud and too ugly, and you want to cast him as the loudest man in the world.
Yeah, I just think if you're going to go that way as a character, you're going to go full way, I guess. Full commitment. And I wouldn't have changed David Dastmalchian. I couldn't think of anyone that could have done that role better. Okay, which movie do you think this movie is like similar to but better than?
Don't have many similarities. Obviously, I said BBC Ghostwatch.
That works. Yeah, it works.
That has big similarities. I think you can find videos of it on YouTube. So go nuts.
Yeah.
There's that, and as I said, I'm not a big horror aficionado. But what are the kind of possession movies? No, none come to mind. Yourself?
So I think it's in the same world, and this makes sense now I know that it was produced by the same people as Paranormal Activity. Like the tension building with the sound and the special effects, it just reminded me of that. I think it's better than that. What movie do you think is like a better version of it?
So for the maybe fourth or fifth time now, I will say I'm not a big horror aficionado.
I'm just going to throw in at this point.
Yeah.
And we didn't mention it. Well, you mentioned it briefly. This is considered a found footage movie.
Yeah.
Which is like really hard. It's like loosely, I guess, but it's hard to kind of put it in that genre. So I've been trying to like put it in the same genre as movies as that.
So I've not seen the paranormal movies. The only other kind of found footage ones I'm aware of and seen are Blair Witch, and I wouldn't compare this to that.
That's what I had.
Okay.
That's what I had is a better version of this movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't, in my head, even though it is found footage, I can't class it as a found footage thing.
I get
to
you.
me, it's more of like a Unsolved Mysteries with
Yeah.
David Ross.
It also reminds me of a better version of the Wreck movies. You ever see the Wreck movies? Probably not.
No.
So it's like an anthology series of like they found these.
Dot Wreck.
Yeah. Is that what they call it? Dot Wreck? Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's what I call it.
Yeah, I guess so. It reminded me of that. It reminded me of that quite a lot. I thought it was a way better version of that, though.
Yeah, it kind of feels like what would be like on a horror anthology, like a short type thing, where they do like the 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Like is it the VHS ones and stuff like that, where they do, like there's different sections and like they kind of like a Monster of the Week type X-Files and all that kind of stuff, isn't it? I
just realized when I said Wreck, it's VHS that I'm talking about.
I was going to say, because Wreck is zombie movies.
Yeah. I got the complete wrong movie. Yeah, the VHS movies, there's like 4 of them, I think. Where they find the tapes.
The first one,
yeah, which are half decent. But that's what I was thinking of, VHS. Yeah, you jog my memory.
There we go. We both agree.
Yeah, there we go. Agreement. Okay, final thoughts. I loved this movie. It's not a rewatchable for me, as I said. But as a standalone one-time watch, I thought it was extremely original, like great performances. Shout out David Dastmalchian again. And Gus. Shut up, John. Special effects didn't ruin it for me. Could have been way better. I think they should have leaned more into the practical effects as it was based in the 70s. But overall, the characters worked for their bits. Even Carmichael worked for his bits, even though the character annoyed me. I think that was the point, though.
Yep.
Ingrid Torelli, Lily, for her first role in a movie, that was amazing.
Yeah, she freaked me the fuck out.
Yeah, I don't think there was a really bad actor in the entire thing. I loved the vibe. I loved the transitions. I loved how they based it around a talk show. I was a little bummed I didn't get to see the musical performance at the end. So they cut that.
Yeah, because they kept showing in between. I was like, oh, that'll be nice.
Yeah. You almost start watching it as like a TV show. You're like, oh, we're not going to see that now, I guess.
I get it.
So for me, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Solid 8 out of 10. Let's get your final thoughts.
Cool. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie. As I said, I'm in no rush to go back to watch it. I think it's a one-time kind of one and done. David Dastmalchian was great. Yeah, he was fantastic in it. He proves that he can be a leading man. I'm sure he has been a leading man. I'm fairly confident he's written and directed his own film as well. But in the more bigger, I know this is not quite a big Hollywood movie and stuff, but he's got the chops for it.
Mm-hmm.
He was great. Lily, Ingrid was scary as hell. And I think she's probably got a career ahead of her now because of that. Overall, feel movie, really enjoyed. Would recommend. Not going back anytime soon, though. Definitely a one-off.
Yeah.
And I would give it 6.666 out of 10.
Nice.
Thank
Love
you.
that. 6.66. Well, if you want to try to work out the average of an 8 out of 10 and a 6.666 out of 10, go ahead, but I'm not going to do it right now. So we'll figure that out later. All right, that wraps up episode 1 of Movie Time with the Boys. We'll be back whenever we get to see a good movie. So if you can suggest any good movies for us, reach out on the socials, on Instagram. We are on there. Let us know what you want us to review next. It won't be a horror because John needs a break from the horror, I think.
Because I have no knowledge on horror.
So we're going to try to new movies. We're going to try to stick to new movies. But if there's anything you guys really want us to review, let us know and reach out to us. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Hey guys, just a little side note. There's a couple of important things we forgot to mention during the recording of the first episode. Firstly, we never really pivoted back to what we thought of the ending of the movie. We considered setting up again and discussing it further, but we decided, hey, it's our first try, these things happen, so we're just going to let it roll. Anyway, here's my thoughts on the ending. I liked it. It was okay. It reminded me of Twin Peaks, but those Twin Peaks scenes that go on way too long and you start to question if you're going crazy. Great deaths, though. I asked John via WhatsApp what he thought. He says,
yeah, so overall, I enjoyed it. I thought the deaths were good, funny, also not funny, looked pretty cool. Some cheesy effects. Overall, good ending. Okay, love you, bye.
Secondly, huge thanks to our buddy Orhan Aden, who took our dumb idea for an intro song and really brought it to life. You can find more of his work at oayd.photo on Instagram. He's incredible. Check him out and give him some love. Once again, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you in episode 2.